Democracy, monarchy, legislation. How do we describe government systems? In this episode, we'll break down important political terms with clear definitions, examples, and images. Let's explore the vocabulary of leadership and governance. Federalism as noun. A system of government in which power is divided between a central authority and constituent political units, such as states or provinces, each possessing its own distinct powers and responsibilities. The principles, practices, or philosophy advocating for the distribution of governmental authority and functions across multiple levels of government, typically involving a balance between centralization and decentralization. The United States operates under a system of federalism, with authority divided between the federal government and individual states. Australia's federalism ensures a division of powers between the federal government and its 6 states and 2 territories, each with its own legislature and executive authority. Canadian federalism grants significant autonomy to provinces like Quebec and Ontario, allowing them to enact laws on matters such as education and healthcare. India's federalism grants substantial powers to its states, enabling them to make decisions on a range of issues, including agriculture, education, and public health. Federalism in Germany is characterized by a complex division of powers between the federal government, states, Länder, and municipalities. Constitution as noun. The fundamental principles or established precedents according to which a state or other organization is acknowledged to be governed. The physical makeup of an individual, especially with regard to the health, strength, and appearance of their body. The company's constitution outlines the rules and regulations governing its operations and decision-making processes. A strong constitution is essential for enduring the challenges of life. The United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, outlining the structure of the federal government and protecting the rights of its citizens. The athlete's robust constitution enabled him to excel in extreme sports. The committee is drafting a new constitution to modernize the organization's governance framework. Cabinet as adjective. British, confidential, private. Suitable for storage in a cabinet. The cabinet meeting discussed sensitive matters of national security. He kept his most valuable possessions in a cabinet drawer. Cabinet hardware includes knobs, handles, and hinges. The cabinet documents were classified and restricted to authorized personnel. The cabinet briefing provided detailed information on the upcoming policy changes. Oligarchy as noun. A form of government or political system in which power is concentrated in the hands of a small group of individuals or families, often based on wealth, social status, or military strength. Rule or control by a privileged minority or elite group who exercise authority and influence over the general population. Critics of the corporation argue that it operates as an oligarchy, with a small group of executives making decisions that impact millions of employees and customers. The overthrow of the dictator led to the establishment of an oligarchy composed of military leaders and business magnates. In the oligarchy that ruled the ancient city-state, only a few wealthy families held political power and influence. The country's transition from monarchy to democracy was marred by the rise of an oligarchy that controlled the government. The history of the region is marked by struggles for power between competing oligarchies vying for control. Republic as adjective. Advocating or supporting a republic as the preferable form of government. Of, relating to, or characteristic of a republic. In a republic society, citizens have the right to participate in the political process. The republic government system is based on elected representatives and the rule of law. The Founding Fathers of the United States established a republican form of government. Many modern democracies have republican elements in their governance structures. Republican ideals such as freedom, equality, and justice are fundamental to a republic. Executive as noun. A person or group of persons having administrative or supervisory authority in an organization, company, or government, typically responsible for making decisions and implementing policies. The branch of government or management responsible for carrying out or executing laws, policies, and directives. She rose through the ranks to become a top executive in the banking industry. The company's executive team meets regularly to discuss strategic plans and business operations. The board of executives convene to discuss the company's financial performance and future goals. As the chief executive officer, she oversees all aspects of the company's day-to-day operations. The executive branch of government is responsible for implementing and enforcing laws passed by the legislative branch. Bureaucracy as noun. A system of administration characterized by hierarchical structure, formalized rules and procedures, and rigid adherence to protocols. The complex network of government officials and departments responsible for implementing and managing laws, regulations, and policies. The bureaucracy of the education system can sometimes impede teachers' ability to adapt and innovate in the classroom. Navigating through the bureaucracy of obtaining a business permit can be a daunting task for entrepreneurs. Many citizens feel frustrated by the bureaucracy of the healthcare system, which can make accessing medical care difficult. The company's bureaucracy often led to delays in decision-making and hindered innovation. Despite efforts to streamline bureaucracy, government agencies often face criticism for inefficiency and red tape. Autocracy as noun. A system of government in which supreme power is concentrated in the hands of one individual or a small group, with little or no input from citizens. Absolute or unlimited power or authority vested in a single ruler or authority figure. The king's autocracy stifled dissent and suppressed political opposition. The overthrow of the autocracy led to the establishment of a democratic government. The country was ruled by an autocracy for decades, with the leader holding absolute power over the state. Citizens protested against the autocracy's oppressive policies and lack of political freedoms. The autocracy's control over the media ensured that only propaganda supporting the regime was disseminated. Judiciary as adjective. Involving or concerned with legal proceedings or the administration of justice. Relating to the judicial branch of government or the courts. The judiciary process requires adherence to procedural rules and principles of fairness. The Judiciary Committee reviews nominees for judicial positions before their confirmation hearings. Judicial reforms were implemented to enhance the efficiency and transparency of the judiciary system. The judiciary branch of government oversees the interpretation and enforcement of laws. The judiciary functioned independently to ensure a fair trial for all parties involved. Monarchy is noun. A form of government in which supreme power is vested in a single individual, usually a king or queen, who inherits the position and reigns for life or until abdication. A state or nation ruled by a monarch, often with hereditary succession and varying degrees of political authority. The United Kingdom is a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system of government. Throughout history, monarchies have existed in various forms, including absolute, constitutional, and elective systems. Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy ruled by the House of Saud, with the king holding extensive powers. In ancient times, many societies were governed by absolute monarchies with unlimited authority. The Emperor of Japan is a ceremonial monarch with symbolic powers, while real political authority is vested in the elected government. Sovereignty as noun. Supreme power or authority. The authority of a state to govern itself or another state. The status, power, or dominion of a monarch, ruler, or governing body over a territory or people. International law respects the sovereignty of nations and their right to self-determination. The king's sovereignty was challenged by rebellious factions within the kingdom. The Declaration of Independence asserted the sovereignty of the newly formed nation. The treaty recognized the sovereignty of each nation to govern its own affairs. Colonial powers often asserted their sovereignty over distant territories through conquest. Democracy as noun. A state governed by democracy. A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. Democracy promotes political equality and participation among its citizens. The United States is often referred to as a democracy, where citizens elect their leaders through voting. Ancient Greece is credited with laying the foundations of democracy, with Athens being one of the earliest democracies. The principles of democracy include freedom of speech, equality before the law, and the right to vote. Many countries around the world have transitioned from authoritarian rule to democracy in recent decades. Diplomacy as noun. The art or practice of handling delicate or sensitive situations tactfully. The profession, skill, or practice of conducting negotiations and maintaining relations between nations, organizations, or individuals. Skillful diplomacy is necessary to navigate complex international relations. Diplomacy played a crucial role in resolving the conflict between the two neighboring countries. The success of the peace talks depended on the diplomat's diplomacy and negotiation skills. The ambassador's diplomacy helped to strengthen diplomatic ties between the two nations. Diplomacy often involves finding common ground and seeking mutually beneficial solutions. Governance as noun. The exercise of authority or power in making decisions, establishing policies, and regulating behavior within a society or group. The process or system of governing, controlling, or managing a country, organization, or institution. The university's governance policies govern matters such as admissions, curriculum development, and faculty appointments. Local governance plays a crucial role in addressing the needs and concerns of communities. The country's governance structure includes a system of checks and balances to ensure fair and transparent decision-making. Corporate governance is essential for maintaining accountability and ethical standards within businesses. Good governance requires effective leadership, accountability, and participation from all stakeholders. Executive as adjective. Having the function or role of carrying out or executing tasks, actions, or duties. Relating to or characteristic of the branch of government or management responsible for implementing policies, decisions, or directives. The executive director is responsible for implementing the organization's mission and goals. The executive decision to invest in new technology has led to increased efficiency and productivity. The executive branch of government is tasked with executing and enforcing laws passed by the legislature. She held an executive position in the company, overseeing marketing and sales operations. The executive summary provided a concise overview of the report's key findings and recommendations. Parliament as noun. The building or chamber where the meetings of a parliament are held. The physical location where parliamentary proceedings take place. The highest legislative body in a country or state, typically consisting of elected or appointed representatives who debate, pass, and and amend laws, the supreme legislative authority within a political system. The dissolution of Parliament triggered a snap election in the country. Protesters gathered outside Parliament to demand action on climate change. The Prime Minister addressed Parliament to propose new legislation on healthcare reform. Members of Parliament debated the budget bill during a session in the House of Representatives. The British Parliament consists of the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Legislature as noun. A deliberative body of government responsible for making laws. A legislative assembly or council that has the authority to enact laws. The branch of government that is vested with the power to make, amend, and repeal laws. The lawmaking body of a country or state. The legislature passed several bills aimed at improving education funding. The state legislature consists of two chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Members of the legislature debated the proposed bill during a heated session. The state legislature convened to discuss the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The governor vetoed the legislation passed by the legislature, citing concerns about its impact on small businesses. Judiciary as noun. The branch of government responsible for interpreting and applying the law, typically through the court system. The judges or justices collectively who preside over courts of law. The independence of the judiciary is essential for ensuring fair and impartial justice. The judiciary is tasked with interpreting statutes and resolving disputes in accordance with legal principles. The judiciary comprises various levels of courts, including trial courts, appellate courts, and supreme courts. The appointment of judges to the judiciary is subject to rigorous scrutiny and confirmation processes. The judiciary plays a crucial role in upholding the rule of law in a democratic society. Cabinet as noun. A body of high-ranking government officials, typically consisting of the heads of various ministries or departments. A piece of furniture with doors and shelves, typically used for storage or display. The President convened a meeting of the Cabinet to discuss national security issues. The Cabinet approved the new budget proposal during their weekly meeting. She stored her fine china in the glass-fronted cabinet in the dining room. The cabinet in the living room held books, photo albums, and other items. The kitchen cabinet was filled with pots, pans, and cooking utensils. Dictatorship as noun. A form of government where absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group, often without the consent of the governed. A government or social system characterized by dictatorial rule, often marked by suppression of dissent and authoritarian control. The regime in Myanmar has been condemned by international organizations for its dictatorship and human rights abuses. North Korea is often cited as an example of a modern dictatorship, with power concentrated in the hands of the ruling Kim family. Under the dictatorship of General Franco, Spain experienced a period of authoritarian rule from the late 1930s until the mid-1970s. The former Soviet Union was governed by a dictatorship of the Communist Party, led by figures such as Joseph Stalin. Many African nations have struggled to transition from dictatorship to democracy, facing challenges of corruption and political instability. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.